Let's do it. Let's have a race. I'm going to verse you. I'll fly this thing around and you can fly a 5-inch and we'll see, you know, just who's quicker. G'day, Stu from UAVfutures here, and today, well as making some size doesn't matter performance jokes, what we're going to be doing, we're going to be checking out this bad boy right here. This is the part 2 review of the KLEX90. So, the KLEX90, it's got the worst name ever. I'm just going to call it the Mini Beast because this thing looks like on paper, if you haven't seen the part 1 review, go and check that out up here, because this thing is a tiny little micro-sized quad that has some fantastic components and some great FPV options. I mean, like, it's got a RunCam Swift Micro in there, for goodness sake, which is, you know, really top of the line stuff. So, what we're going to do in this video, we're going to take it out, rip it around, we'll also hand it over to Grumpy Trev and see what he thinks, have a few races, and I'm going to put a bit of a wager up and say that, you know, when I'm racing some of my mates, even with their 5-inch crafts, I definitely think this thing is still on the right course, is definitely going to give them a run for money. I'm going to predict it is an absolute little beast, and I bet you guys can't wait to see it. I'm super excited, so enough rambling here in the studio. Let's cut out to the field and rip it around, because I know you guys are going to love it. So alright, let's cut out to the field in 3, 2, 1. Rightio, out here in the field, about to rip it around, the little KLA, whatever the name is. I'm not a fan of the name, but the little quads do look awesome. So I've got one, Trevor's got one. We're going to have a bit of a race. Of course, no HD footage. I'm going to show you guys some DVR, and we'll rip it around, and then we'll also verse some of the bigger 5-inch quads and see just can they compete on a little circuit. All right, let's do it. Alrighty, here we are on board with some DVR, and the first thing I want to point out is let's get rid of all this junk all over the screen. So we don't need that crosshair, we don't need the artificial horizon, and to be honest, I don't even need the craft name or anything like that. I just want to know my battery voltage and also my timer. So we're flying around here, and you can see it's a pretty zippy little drone. So the other thing I want to point out too, this is a 3S battery, so it was a little bit hard on the 3S batteries, but you still seem to get plenty of flight time. But flying around, look, these speeds for something so small, it's crazy to think that this is just a tiny little 3S quad. And that's what I absolutely love about it. You can take this thing out anywhere, rip it around, and you can imagine, like, if you had this in a lunch pack or something, the batteries that come with it are so small, you could literally stick this in a lunch bag, a lunch box, and you're ready to rock and roll. You could keep it anywhere. Anytime you wanted to go out, rip some FPV with like a quad that actually feels like a decent 5-inch quad. It's obviously not as fast in a straight line or anything like that, but it still really it gave you that great FPV experience. It didn't feel like you were fighting the quad the whole time. And honestly, I think there's a really big market for this type of little drone, because look, a lot of people have 5-inch races and it's not going to replace those in any way, but if you just want something you can take out to the park, rip around, and it's also not going to intimidate other people when they come near or anything like that, I definitely think this is hitting the nail on the head, especially with all those quality components in it. It's by far the best, like, tiny little micro that we had. There's a nice little crash. Thanks very much, Mr. Tree. But what we should do, let's hand it over to Grumpy Trev and see what he thinks. All right, Trev, let's rock and roll.
These are quick, aren't they? This is quicker than the Lizard, way quicker.
Does it feel more controllable?
Oh, absolutely. Way more controllable.
What about versus the AR Fun?
I reckon it's probably a bit faster. As strange as it may seem, it feels like a 5-inch. It's bloody quick, easy to control, very easy to control, and fast to boot. It's got a great little camera in it, one of those mini RunCam things. Also, an OSD, which is great. At time they started putting those in. It's got a lot of turned on, those your horizon crap and all that sort of stuff, but you can turn that off easy enough. This thing, I've just parked it over there for a minute. Tree actually moved out and grabbed me quad. If you ever watched Harry Potter, you know those trees.
Come on.
Yeah, but really good to fly. Great little toy.
Who would you recommend these ones to?
Anyone. They are fun, really fun. Definitely. Get one. They're a great little toy. Better than the Lizard. Can't remember the name because it's a number. All
right, what about a Grumpy Trev rating out of 10 in terms of performance?
Performance, that is absolute. That's 9.5, that thing.
And what about for value?
Value for money, probably an 8 as well. Look, a lot of fun. Did I break it, Cal? Nah, and they're durable.
Bent prop.
Which is just a bent prop, just a little bit bent. Doesn't matter, it's Stu's anyway. You give me, I reckon they'll bent when you give them to me. Look, great value, guys.
Too easy.
I liked it.
Thanks, man. Let's do it. Let's have a race. I'm going to verse you. I'll fly this thing around and you can fly a 5-inch and we'll see, you know, just who's quicker. Alrighty, so now it's time for a race, and this is what happens when you get a 25 milliwatt VTX next to like some more powerful ones. So you can see it's bleeding over into the channel, and this was probably the worst it was going to be because the quads were so close, sitting on the start line before we take off. So you can see once they take off, it's not too bad. So once they were clear and my video came back, I decided to give it some. And I'm racing two 5-inch racers here. So Trev and Calvin are zipping around, and one lucky thing, luckily, I think it might be Calvin that actually hits this gate, so you can see right there. So we've overtaken one, and now we've got to chase down a grumpy Trevor. And we have a good little battle coming up here. So it takes a little bit to get used to, too, flying around a tiny little 3S drone when you've been flying around a 5-inch all day. Now I am going, this is probably about as hard as I could push this drone. I really was pushing it as hard as I can. My poor little battery, it's probably worth noting too that this was a 3S and the other drones we were flying were a 4S. So I did have to make sure I was trying to get those lines and everything like that when we're flying around. So there you go. There you can see Trevor right here, and I think he gets me on this little pass. He sort of cuts back in front of me for a split second. There he goes. And then we've overtaken him there. He was out to the right, and now we're in front. And this is where, like, if you're in a tiny little course and you've got some decent skills, or at least some skills to push a little quad like this, you can go pretty quick. So we're in front of Trev here, and he doesn't catch up. So for the rest of the race, it's just us out in front, and it was fantastic. So I could really rub it in, and especially against Calvin, because he crash test Cal. He didn't even get one lap in. But it just goes to show, look, no one's rocking up to a race, a serious race, and trying to compete with any of these things. But if you've got a little drone and you want to have some fun with your mates, and you still want to give them a bit of stick, a little drone like this, because of its good components, it's still got plenty of zip that, you know, you can beat some people out there if you've got the skills to pay the bills. Alrighty, so there it is. There's my review of the Klex 90 or KAL, whatever this thing is. There's my review of the little mini beast. And I'm going to say this is the best micro, under 100mm size quad that I have. My favourite thing about it, look, it's got great performance. I love how it comes together, super sturdy. I think it's a fantastic built little drone that's great when you just want to put it in a lunchbox, take it out and rip it around. But my favourite thing, it feels like a big 5-inch racer in the palm of your hand. So the Lizard that I've flown around, the AR Fun, they're really fun quads. The Lizard is like insanity speed, and the AR Fun was a bit more controllable. This thing has all the characteristics of a big 5-inch drone just squeezed right down. So it was still super zippy. It definitely felt, and it felt way more controllable, and you've got some good FPV vision thanks to the fantastic camera, the Runcam Micro in the front. So overall, massive step in the right direction, but it's also a little bit more pricey. So anyway, I'll drop the links down below, but if you're after a tiny little racer that you can take out, zip around anywhere, and if you've got the skills, look, you really can push this thing pretty quick. I know I did beat those boys around the track and they had their 5 inches, but also be mindful of it is only on 25 milliwatts. Anyway, hope you guys like that. Drop some comments. There's one of my batteries. Drop some comments down below. What do you guys think about this? Or what would a better name for it be? And also, what color would you get? Subscribe for more FPV related content. And as always, happy flying! Alrighty, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. Definitely subscribe if you're new to the channel and check out these videos. And I'm also going to leave a little link here to my Patreon page, because I've got some fantastic Patreon supporters and I like to give back to them as well. So if you want to join the UAVfutures family, there's things like bonus Velcro straps, little bundles of FPV goodies and things like that that also get sent out. Anyway, happy flying!